Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is lesson number 5 from At-Tuhfah Al-Wasaabiyyah, which is the explanation of Al-Ajurrumiyyah. And inshallah today we'll continue from where we left off, and we'll start with Al-Harf. So he said, وَالْحَرْف لُغَةً أَطَرَف. أَطَرَف. أَطَرَف, it means like a janib min shay. So it's like a cliff, you know. If it's on a mountain, you say طرف الجبل. It's like a cliff on the mountain, right? He said, والحرف لغة أطرف بفتح الراء واصطلاحا كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها. So in the terminologies of the people of Nahu, it is a word that has a meaning. The meaning of this word becomes apparent when it is put together with other components of the sentence. So the harf in itself, we can't give it a specific meaning. But what we can say is that the meaning, it becomes clear, because it has, like, each harf has so many different meanings that it can mean. And some of them, they mean the same thing. So like, for example, fi can mean ala. You know, fi can mean ala, and fi can mean darafiyya. And, you know, it has a lot of different meanings. So to understand the meaning of these words, we have to put it into a sentence, and then it becomes apparent what the meaning is. So he said, كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها نحو لم. فإنه كلمة دلت على معنى وهو النفي. وهذا المعنى لا يظهر إلا في غيره. So the word like nafi, because it has the meaning of nafi, but negation, which means it negates something, but it can't negate anything until it can't have that meaning, and that meaning cannot become an apparent until you put it with something else that it negates. So because if you just say lam by itself, just like kitab by itself, it functions by itself. Kitab is very clear what it means, but lam, because it's a negation, it doesn't become apparent until you put it with something else, and then it negates something. فإنه كلمة دلت على معنى وهو نفي وهذا المعنى لا يظهر إلا في غيره وهو الفعل. فإذا قلت لم يقم زيد لم يقم زيد. So we talked about lam in the previous lesson, and we talked about that lam is a harf nafi, all right, وجزم وإيش وقلب, all right, because nafi because it negates, jazm because it like يجزم الفعل, all right, and قلب because it يقلب المعنى من المضارع إلى من الحال إلى الماضي. So because it takes the فعل المضارع and makes the meaning in the past, whereas the فعل المضارع, the meaning is supposed to be in the present time, but it changes it to the past. لم يقم. So that's the lam, and يقوم فعل مضارع مجزوم باللام, all right, and وعلامة جزمه السكون, all right, السكون. زيد فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة في آخره. كان معناه نفي القيام عن زيد. Alright, so you say فإذا قلت لم يقم زيد لم يقم زيد كان معناه نفي القيام عن زيد, that you negated Zayd standing, like you negated this the action of standing from Zayd, like he did not stand. ومثله هل. Hal, of course, is used for generally for istifham, right? إنه كلمة دلت على معنى وهو الاستفهام. Istifham, it means that you're seeking to understand. And how do you seek to understand? By asking a question. So that's why استفعل, it has that type of meaning of seeking something, you know. So istifham, you're seeking a fahm, you're searching for the fahm, which is the understanding. So you can only do that by asking a question. So it means to ask a question. So istifham is the asking of a question. وهذا المعنى لا يظهر إلا في غيره. That meaning, it does not become apparent except when it's connected to something else. وهو الفعل أو الاسم. So this one is connected to, either it could be connected to a fi'l or an ism. نحو هل قام زيد هل قام زيد. So in this case, it's similar to the meaning of English. Did Zayd stand? هل قام زيد وهل محمد كريم. Is Muhammad Kareem? Is he hospitable or generous? It depends on obviously what the meaning is, because Kareem, it can refer to somebody that's like, you know, noble in his manners and his behavior. Kareem can mean somebody who's respectable. Kareem can mean somebody who's hospitable to his guests. Kareem. So it depends on what you're using it. But generally, whenever they talk about Kareem, it means like generous. You know. Generous. Yukram ضيفه, from the, you know, karama, for the guests. All right, so he said وهل محمد كريم. So is Muhammad generous? Is he with his guests or whatever. And so when we look at the i'rab of the harf hal, all right, because it's hal is mabni, it's a harf mabniun ala harf istifham mabniun ala sukun, because all the huruf they're mabni, all of them. All right, so harf istifham mabniun ala sukun. All right, and then when qama fi'l madin it's mabniun ala al-fath, and لا محل له من الإعراب. وزيد فاعل، هل قام زيد فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ضمته الظاهرة على آخره. And when we look at the next word, هل محمد كريم. So هل again حرف الاستفهام مبني على سكون. محمد, because it's the asl of it is محمد كريم. So محمد is the مبتدأ مرفوع وكريم is the khabar. That's the asl. So when you put hal onto these two words, it doesn't change the asl of it. So hal حرف استفهام مبني على سكون. محمد مبتدأ مرفوع بالابتداء وعلامة رفعه ضمة ظاهرة على آخره. وكريم خبر مرفوع بالمبتدأ وعلامة رفعه ضمة ظاهرة على آخره. So it doesn't change like with hal. All right, it doesn't change the function of the mubtada wal khabar. All right. So فالأول معناه الاستفهام عن قيام زيد. So the first one you're seeking to know if Zayd stood or not. وثاني معناه الاستفهام عن كرم محمد. So in the second one you're seeking to know or understand if Muhammad is generous. All right. فخرج بقولنا دلت على معنى في غيرها. So now we're talking about basically once you say دلت على معنى في غيرها, you've excluded the ism wal fi'l. Because both the ism and the fi'l دلت على معنى في نفسها. Alright, دلت على معنى في نفسها. But here, because this word is a كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها, so it's excluded the ism and the fi'l. So here, in this understanding, in this ta'rif, the harf stands alone. الاسم والفعل فإن كل منهما كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها كما تقدم. وقيد المصنف الحرف بقوله جاء لمعنى. So now we're going to talk about what the stipulation, because he said جاء لمعنى. Because we got to understand that there's two types of huruf. There's the huruf al-mabani and the huruf al-ma'ani. And this is what he's going to talk about now. So he said جاء لمعنى ليبين أن الحرف الذي يدخل في تركيب الكلام هو الذي يكون له معنى من المعاني كلام فإن معناه النفي. So he's saying that this is the stipulate that the huruf that we're talking about here, the huruf, they go into the speech and they have a meaning. They actually have a meaning. And this is not to be confused with the huruf al-mabani, because the huruf al-mabani are the huruf al-hijaiyah that are used to make up the word. But this is a component of speech, and this is a different type of huruf. This is the huruf al-ma'ani, which are used to make up speech, where the huruf al-mabani are used to construct a word. So zaydun, zay, ya, dal, all of these now, these are what they call the huruf al-mabani, and they have no meaning no matter what you do. Zay doesn't have a meaning, and the ya doesn't have a meaning, and the dal, it doesn't have a meaning. It's only used to make up the word. It's to construct a word. So these are the huruf al-mabani. But now the huruf al-ma'ani, like min wa ila wa an wa ala wa fi wa rubba wa baf wa kaf wa lam wa huruf al-qasmi, as it was mentioned in the matan, all of these huruf, they have a meaning. But the meaning does not become apparent until it's put into a sentence. But they're used as a part of speech to make up speech. So this is the difference. And this is what he's talking about here. So he says, وَقَيَّدَ الْمُصَنَّفُ الْحَرْفِ بِقَوْلِهِ جَاءَ لِمَعْنًا ليبين أن الحرف الذي يدخل في تركيب الكلام هو الذي يكون له معنى من المعاني كلام فإن معناه النفي. So lam has the meaning of negation. وهل فإن معناه الاستفهام. It has the meaning of seeking to understand, seeking to know. وفي فإن معناه الظرفية. And the fi has the meaning of الظرفية, which means to envelope something. And I don't mean like an envelope, like envelop, to envelop, because when you're in something, you're completely within it. That means that thing has enveloped you. All right, so like an envelope would envelop a letter. It would, the letter would be completely covered by the envelope. ونحو ذلك من حروف المعاني فإن لم يكن له معنى لم يدخل في تركيب الكلام كزاي زيد ويائه وداله فإنها لا معنى لها. والحاصل أن الحرف ينقسم إلى قسمين. So the harf, it is broken up into two categories. أحدهما حرف معنى. حرف معنى وهو الذي يدخل في تركيب الكلام. So this is the one that has a meaning. كالباء في قولك بالله لأجتهدن فإنها تفيد القسم. Alright, والثاني حرف مبني, which is the حروف المباني that we talked about. وهو الذي يدخل في تركيب الكلمة ولا يكون له معنى كالباء في قولك باب. So these are the حروف المعاني والحروف المباني. So one has a meaning and the other doesn't. So here we're stipulating the one that's used as a part of speech. He said أمثلة للاسم خالد هند قلم كتاب بيت مسجد أسد. So these are all noun, alright, asma, alright, Khalidun, Hindu, alright, Hindu because it's the name of a girl, so it would be mamnu' min as-sarf. Qalamun, kitabun, baytun, masjidun, asadun. أمثلة الفعل كتب يكتب أكتب أسلم يسلم أسلم استغفر يستغفر استغفر. Alright, so here we have كتب, كتب ماض يكتب مضارع اكتب أمر أسلم يسلم أسلم استغفر يستغفر استغفر. So you say استغفر ربك استغفر ربك, like seek the forgiveness of your Lord. أمثلة للحرف لم ولن هل في سوف حتى ليت إن إلا بلا. And all of these حروف are going to come later. So all of them will come little by little. So inshallah, some of them will come in a specific chapter and some of them will come at the end. Because the huruf, there are different types of huruf even amongst the huruf al-ma'ani. So you have the harf jar, and then you have the different huruf that do different functions. Like, here you have like for the istifham, you have lam walan, which both have nafi. One which one is going to be for the past and one is for the future. And all of this, inshallah, will come little by little, inshallah. So don't stress out on this one, inshallah. We'll cover all of this, inshallah, in the preceding chapters, inshallah. Well, I mean the coming chapters, not the almost time. So, inshallah, we'll stop here for today because I don't want to start off the next class, inshallah. We'll deal with the alamat al-ism, inshallah. وإلى هنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب